All right, guys, we're going to get started on the program today. Um, we have a lot of content today. In fact, we have more content today than we have room on our rundowns. I know you're not going to want to hear this, Judah, and I don't even think it does the show a service, but should we do a rotating rundown? Like, we have the slot for the 9 headlines we see on screen. Can we do a rotating rundown? And did you look into when the first I Love CVille show was?
I haven't found it yet.
Okay. Can you see if you can let us know when the first Monday through Friday, 12:30, 1:30 I Love CVille show was? I mean, that would just require scrolling through YouTube. You know, I think that would be pretty easy to find. And then that had some, you would look for on-screen branding for that. All the videos are archived in one place on YouTube. All right, there's a lot we're going to cover on today's program. Let the viewers and listeners know which headline you're most intrigued about.
I mean, it's hard to not be intrigued by the ongoing mess at UVA. The second letter, Jim Ryan basically poo-pooing the charges, the accusations, and now finding out that while they are going to, at least they say they're going to run an investigation with an international firm, they've also stated that they're not going to release the results.
What's up with that? They're not going to release the results of an international law firm investigating UVA Health, a system, hospital system that provides care for how many millions of people? I mean, you got 1,400 School of Medicine faculty members, 30,000 UVA health employees, and how many who seek medical services from this health system?
Yeah.
I mean, how many have sought health services, you would say, in the last 10 years? Impossible to know. I would say it's millions. We'll talk about that on today's program. There's a second letter. The second letter straight up attacks Jim Ryan and his credibility. We'll talk on today's program. Gosh, this show is completely loaded. I got some commentary that's been passed to me by an individual that is a heavy hitter within Charlottesville Public Schools. We'll chatter this commentary that's been passed to me off the record. I will maintain the identity and the anonymity of our source when it applies to Charlottesville Public Schools, but it's commentary that our viewer and listener who's a heavy hitter said should be out in the news ecosystem. We'll talk about that today. We'll talk about the Florida sheriff outing school shooting hoaxers. How do you feel about that, Judah?
I'm divided, but it's growing on me. I mean, we're talking about, it's a felony, but these are still kids.
Look, I think the person who's calling in hoaxes of bomb threats or gun violence should be outed for sure. I think the individual who is dropping a dime or ratting out or tattletaling on someone that has any gun violence or any kind of hoax or anything like that, their name should be protected at all cost. Anyone who's reporting school violence, whether real or hoax, their anonymity should be protected at all cost. We'll talk about that today. We talked yesterday about the 6-year-old who brought a loaded gun to an Orange County elementary school. We had multiple viewers and listeners, including one heavy hitter who said, remember, at Buford Middle School, this past spring, there was a student who brought a gun to the school. We'll talk about that on today's program. So much to cover on the show, guys. Give it a like, give it a share. It's the Wednesday edition, and we are absolutely locked and loaded with content today. You got 2 women's tennis players from the University of Virginia, Danielle Collins and Emma Navarro, that are both ranked in the top 10 of the professional tour, the WTA. I mean, good Lord, an abundance of riches here. So much to cover. Deep Throat, we appreciate the color on what you're offering already making the program better, Deep Throat. We sincerely appreciate you. Judah Wickower, Jerry Miller, this is the Wednesday edition of a show that we work very hard for you. The only thing we ask in return is if you like and share the show. Please like and share the show. Judah Wickower, I need 7 seconds. I'm going to ask you which headline you find most compelling. I want to highlight Mexicali with a comment from Holly Foster and Henrico. Johnny Ornalis, I hope you're watching the program. River Hawkins, I hope you're watching the program. Someone tag Johnny Ornalis. Someone give Johnny Ornalis a nudge. He's going to get some serious props on the program. Someone give my boy Johnny Ornalis a nudge. All right, Judah Wickower, we can rock and roll when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Good Wednesday afternoon, guys. I'm Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love Seville show, the water cooler of Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and Central Virginia. We talk topics that matter. Some topics and storylines may not be rainbows and sunshine, but we feel they are compelling, and we relay them to you so you are more informed with what's going on in your community. Today's show embodies that statement. We'll talk about the 128 docs from the University Physicians Group who have now penned a second letter to the Board of Visitors. This second letter is straight up calling out President Jim Ryan, indicating they have no confidence in Jim Ryan, and whatever confidence they had with him has been completely eroded after Jim Ryan marginalized their efforts in a letter of his own. We'll talk on today's show, the University of Virginia hiring an international law firm. You heard me correctly. UVA has announced today an international law firm will investigate the claims of the 128 members from the University Physicians Group that claim fraudulent billing, nepotism, cronyism, backroom dealing, bullying, utilizing promotions as leverage, fear tactics, changing medical charts to maintain performance standards at the health system. I mean, an array, a laundry list, a laundry list of concerns with UVA Health. The 128 docs who signed the initial letter have written a second letter. Jim Ryan responded to that second letter, or the first letter. The second letter then responds to Jim Ryan's letter. The UVA docs have now provided, ladies and gentlemen, 22 examples. Daily Progress has great reporting on this. The Daily Progress article published just a little bit ago, great reporting. They provided 22 examples dating back to September of 2021, less than a year after the CEO arrived to Charlottesville. Emails and meetings indicating no confidence, toxic culture, retaliation by Craig Kent and Melina Kibbe, retaliation and intimidation tactics utilized by leadership. I mean, Jesus, this story continues to gain momentum. We said this story was going to be one of the most significant stories in Virginia history, UVA history. John Blair called the story the most significant story maybe since A11 and A12. Mm-hmm. Now an international law firm is investigating the health system. Here's the crappy part of the international law firm investigating the health system, and we'll unpack this story. It's Williams Conley, that is the international law firm, a DC-based outfit. They are not going to release the investigation to the public. Mm-hmm. This irks the bejeebus out of me. The same institution, one that I love dearly, I bleed orange and blue. Dad went to UVA, brother went to UVA, I went to UVA, would love if our boys went to UVA. This same institution that we love dearly refuses to release the investigation report into the good, the bad, and ugly of the murder of the 3 football players on grounds after a field trip to D.C. Mm-hmm. And now they're failing to report, unwilling to report, when this investigation is completed, whether or not this letter from 128 docs with the University Physicians Group is legitimate, authentic, phony, or BS. Folks, give me a break. Mm-hmm. What is UVA doing here? Yeah. The last 24 to 36 months, the University of Virginia, it's been a PR nightmare. We'll unpack that today, ladies and gentlemen, On today's program, we will unpack and offer more color on the 6-year-old that showed up at Orange County Elementary School with a loaded gun in his backpack. Some folks in the community, including one heavy hitter at Charlottesville Public Schools, has said, Jerry, remember this past spring, a loaded gun was found basically on the grounds of Buford Middle School. If you remember, this past spring, a gun was found near the belongings of a student attending New Pathways Academy, the alternative education program which meets at the Boys and Girls Club. It serves 7th through 8th graders right next to Buford Middle. Folks, the loaded gun, I want to correct myself from yesterday. Remember I said on yesterday's show, I said, can anyone remember a case of a loaded gun being at a school in Central Virginia? I said, is this the first case, the Orange County Elementary School? And parents have said, no, Jerry. This past spring, remember, you talked about it on the show. One parent shared the link to the show that we discussed this on with me and said, listen to your commentary. You were spot on. New Pathways Academy, a gun found on the person in the belongings of a student. Mm-hmm. More color to this situation. Charlottesville City Schools also has a request for proposal out for a safety audit with an update due in October. So much to cover on today's program. It really puts storylines like this into perspective. Danielle Collins and Emma Navarro at the UVA tennis alumni ranked in the top 10 of the WTA. I mean, that's a really big deal. But when you're talking loaded guns in elementary schools and middle schools, and you're talking 128 docs calling fraud billing practices and changing of medical charts to maintain performance standards, should I be talking about that? The tennis? We'll talk on today's program, ladies and gentlemen, about a University of Virginia graduate opening a very intriguing business model in Dairy Market, a Florida sheriff choosing to out school shooting hoaxers. I say you put all the school shooting hoaxers on milk cartons. They should be front and center on the police social media channels.
I'm not disagreeing, but...
Are you on a two-shot?
No.
You're not disagreeing?
I'm not disagreeing with you, but even if they're 10 years old? I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that in this case, in the case that the article talks about, I believe the kid was like 10 or 12 years old. And I don't necessarily disagree. I mean, this is not only is it disruptive, it's dangerous, and you know, and it costs you and I
so much money.
Lots of money.
So much money.
The article talks about how much...
Cite your source.
Let's see.
Thank you for watching, John Blair. Cite your source. What's the article? What's the publication? No new listings in YouTube in Lewis Mountain right now.
No new listings.
No, cite your source. What's the publication?
Let me find it. Hold on.
All right. I'll get to the topic du jour as you're looking for it. It's not there in front of you?
Yeah, I've got it. It's from yahoo.com.
But yahoo.com is referencing a news article, and that Yahoo just syndicates coverage from other news sources.
AP.
Okay. Associated Press is reporting this.
Yeah.
That a Florida sheriff is doxing a 10-year-old?
Fed up with school shooting hoaxes, posts a boy's mugshot to social media.
How do you feel about that, moms and dads watching this program? Should students who call in hoaxes or post on social media, I mean, they're not calling them in here. It's not like you're calling a Bob thread anymore.
Here's what he had to say. Since parents, you don't want to raise your kids, I'm going to start raising them. Every time we make an arrest, your kid's photo is going to put out there. And if I can do it, I'm going to perp walk your kid so that everybody can see what your kid's up to. This one was about the arrest of an 11-year-old boy who was taken into custody for threatening to carry out a school shooting and having a list of names of people that he wanted to shoot. It was just a hoax. He was joking around, but, I mean, come on.
How do you feel about that, parents?
In this day and age, that's not something that you should be joking about.
How do you feel if a 10-year-old is doxxed for utilizing social media for a hoax? We'll talk about that on today's program. Folks, today's program is locked and loaded. Pun intended. Terrible pun. Terrible pun. We'll give Mexicali Restaurant some props, a partner of this program, located on West Main Street, the Old World of Beer location, 50 parking spots on site. Give some imagery on screen for Mexicali Restaurant, Judah Wickhauer. How about this review from Holly Foster? She learned of Mexicali Restaurant right here on the I Love Seville show. She sent me a DM. The Queen of Henrico, Holly Foster. Hi, Jerry. I got to meet Johnny Ornalis, one of the owners of Mexicali, yesterday.
Nice.
I went to Mexicali to pick up my order. Johnny Ornalis is so nice. I love the restaurant, and the food was outstanding. So fresh. I got queso con chorizo. Cameroon, what is it, Zana Dendiando and Baja fish tacos?
Cameron de, what is it?
Taking too long. I still have leftovers for tonight. Since they still do to-go cocktails, he and his bartender suggested the Chica Gimlet, and I really enjoyed that after the awful drive home to Henrico in the rain. I cannot wait to go back to Mexicali on the next visit. And Jerry, I look forward to today's program. Holly Foster, nothing but love for you, Holly Foster, Queen of Henrico, watching the program. If you haven't tried Mexicali on West Main Street, you're missing one of the best dining experiences in the region.
And there's the Chica Gimlet.
Oh, it's on screen. Judah Wickhauer making moves right there.
I believe that's what it is. It comes in a baggie. It's pretty funny.
Very nicely done. Is that a Judah Wickhauer original?
Yeah.
That photo?
They all
Excellent work. We'll give some props to Pro Renata here in a matter of moments and Charlottesville Business Brokers. Before we do, two-shot Judah Wickhauer. Daily Progress, fantastic coverage right now. Ladies and gentlemen, props to Legacy Media when they get me thinking. The headline, ladies and gentlemen, it was published less than 2 hours ago. UVA hires international law firm to investigate hospital complaints. The sub-headline, disgruntled faculty and healthcare workers at UVA say the university is not doing enough or anything to actually address their concerns. Emily Hemphill published this article. Reynolds Hutchinson, the editor, you're doing fantastic work, Reynolds. Since you've taken over, I've seen the coverage improve. I don't agree with all the coverage, but the local content's improved. I want to unpack the story. First, I'll set the stage with the who, what, when, where, why, okay? By now, if you're not living under a rock, if you're not living in a cave, you realize 128 doctors with the UVA Physicians Group signed a letter alleging in their letter, it was an anonymous letter, I had beef with the anonymity of the letter, but the 128 members of UPG signed a letter saying fraudulent billing, changing medical charts to maintain performance standards, nepotism, cronyism, bully, backroom dealing, fear tactics, toxic culture. I mean, basically they outlined an environment that is just a horrible place to work.
Not only that, but,
scamming patients.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
A lot of deeply troubling stuff going on.
Jim Ryan, the president of the University of Virginia, responds to that initial letter. Came out, last week? And Jim Ryan says, you know what? This hospital system is a big one. 1,400 School of Medicine faculty members, 30,000 UVA health employees. And we're going to have a small percentage of people disgruntled. Yeah. Jim Ryan, the president of the university, said, this small percentage of the people that are disgruntled, you can basically ignore them. And shame on them for casting shade on what the health system has done. Shame, shame, shame. Wagging the proverbial finger at the 128 signees. Basically poo-pooing them.
While also saying that he was going to have an investigation.
Jim Ryan's tactics here infuriated the initial 128. So much so that the initial 128 wrote a second letter to the BOV, a second letter, and said, Jim Ryan, we have no more confidence in you anymore.
Destroyed what little trust in him remained.
What little trust we had in you, Jimbo, is gone. And then in the second letter, they say, here are 22 examples that back the claims we made in the initial letter.
Sadly, those examples are things that that don't really mean anything to us. So, I believe they're just dates and times of meetings and emails that were sent to basically talk about these issues. And so
Daily Progress says they provide 22 examples dating back to September 2021, less than a year after Kent's arrival. He's the CEO of the health system in Charlottesville, of emails and meetings regarding no confidence, toxic culture, retaliation by Craig Kent and Melina Kibbe, and retaliation and intimidation tactics utilized by C. Kent, MK, and the Department of Surgery chair.
yeah.
There's no smoking gun, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm saying there's no actual evidence there unless you were in one of those meetings. And they're basically saying, you know what we're talking about, so stop being a you-know-what and pretending like you don't know, you've never heard of any of this.
The second letter also starts highlighting other heavy hitters, including Chief Compliance Officer for UVA Health, Krista Barnes, Chair of the Health System Board, Baber Latif, I'm sorry, Baber and Latif, I'm butchering your name, Chief Human Resource Officer John Koski, and Victoria Harker, a member of the Health System Board and Vice Chair of the State Council of Higher Education of Virginia. More heavy hitters included in the second letter.
Yeah, they're saying these people all know exactly what we're talking about.
They're literally bringing more people into the mix. Now the University of Virginia. Guys, this is the second chapter of this story. The first chapter was the letter. Mm-hmm. The first one, and then Jim Ryan's response to the letter. The second chapter is this second letter. Now, because of these letters and because of the Board of Visitors meeting that happened last week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, there was a BOV meeting. We are fresh from the BOV meeting, and now we know an international law firm is going to investigate what's going down. The international law firm is Williams Conley, a law firm based out of Washington, D.C. I know a man that knows a lot about law firms, especially of the international variety, and he watches this program, and he goes by the moniker Deep Throat, and he already is offering some color. He says Williams Conley is a big-name choice, Deep Throat, his photo on screen. They did the investigation of the University of Michigan Sign and Steal scandal, and I recall that Williams Conley also defended Clinton and his impeachment, or at least was involved in his defense. Shockingly, the University of Virginia announces today, we're going to do an investigation of the fraud, the cronyism, the nepotism, the bullying, the toxic culture, and the changing of the medical charts, the fake billing. But we're not going to release any of these results to the public. Exact words from UVA spokesman. Somebody explain that to me. This is the same outfit, organization, institution of higher learning that refuses to release the investigation report into the who, what, when, where, why, what we did well, what we did bad when it came to the murder of 3 football players. This has been a 24 to 36 month case study of how to butcher public relations in a road trust with the public. Yeah. Take the last 24 to 36 months and allow Darden students or McIntyre School of Commerce students to do a case study on what the University of Virginia has done well or piss poor with managing their brand equity, their perception over the last 2 to 3 years. I mean, holy bejeebus. The May pro-Palestine pepper spraying debacle pales in comparison to this. Ginny Hu, thank you for the retweet. I'm going to get to Ginny Hu's comments in a matter of moments. Sit back and buckle up. And speaking of buckle up, the I Love CVille show has secured an interview. What's the day of the interview, Judah?
October 3rd.
Tom Neal, president of the Jefferson Council, on this show. Jefferson Council watches this program. The president on the show on October 3rd. We're going to be talking about, oh my God, where do we begin? With the president of the Jefferson Council.
I mean, they've got a pretty good article on this whole situation on their new website.
When was that released?
It was September 15th, written by James Bacon.
Holy Toledo.
UVA med faculty have been seeking redress since 2021.
Did you read that article?
Yeah, I've been reading through it. He says the Board of Visitors proceedings have lacked transparency. He talks about the fact that President Ryan is not persuading anyone of his sincerity when he says in one breath, "We will do our best to investigate," while vigorously defending Kent and Kibbe and criticizing their accusers in the next, before gathering all the facts.
You know what the very interesting thing about this is? The co-founder of the Jefferson Council, Bert Ellis, is now on the Board of Visitors.
And at the last paragraph, he says, several board members are friendly with the Jefferson Council, but they tell me nothing. They are forbidden from discussing closed session business. It's like they are bound by omerta. Not only does the public not know what was said about the allegations, we don't know if anything was said at all. This in reference to the Board of Visitors' 2 days of meetings.
We have the BOV, the heaviest of heavy hitters at the University of Virginia, met Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of last week. 13 on the BOV were appointed by conservative Governor Glenn Youngkin. Those 13 were handpicked by a man who has openly indicated that he does not favor the direction the university is headed.
Yeah. You would think that the Board of Visitors might be at loggerheads with President Ryan, but I don't know. They seem to be together on the fact that they are not releasing the investigation.
One of those 13 appointed by the governor is the co-founder of the Jefferson Council, who is challenging the University of Virginia in every public way possible: honor code, diversity, equity, and inclusion, bloated payroll, freedom of speech, transparency, cost to attend, and now this UVA health story.
Oh, big time cost to attend.
And now the UVA health story.
Yeah.
The UVA health story went from chapter 1, 128 docs in UPG writing an anonymous letter, to Jim Ryan throwing shade on those 128, saying, you guys are small potatoes. You're such a small percentage of the workforce. We should ignore you. All you are is some bitter teenagers that are angry that they're not sitting at the popular table at lunch. And then the 128 say, oh yeah, Jim Ryan, here's a second letter. We think you stink at your job. We think you should be benched from the football team. We no longer have confidence in you as the captain.
Here are all the times that we've talked about this kind of stuff, and here are people that also know exactly what we're talking about.
From the popular table, here's more people from the popular table that were involved in the cronyism and the alleged fraud, nepotism, backroom dealing, and bullying.
Yeah, they're basically saying, stop it with the surprised Pikachu.
Good Lord, this is crazy.
Stop it with the surprised Pikachu face.
Do you understand what's happening here, ladies and gentlemen? This is a script. This is a movie script. And we're nowhere near the climax.
No. I don't think we're even close to the second half.
Are we in the prelude?
Basically, we're in the first 10 minutes. I think
we're in the previews. And then the school has the gumption and the nerve to say, guess what? Our system has offered medical care to thousands of people every day, millions of people over what time frame? And we're not going to tell you or your family whether or not there was actual fraud billing and medical chart changing to maintain performance standards. We're going to keep the backroom dealing and not give you the report of the third-party law firm. Mm-hmm. I am absolutely floored and flabbergasted here. And we've seen this practice with the report that was not released to the public, with the mass murder at UVA with 3 football players and 2 other students injured. And we've seen the same BS tactics as Janice Boyce Trevelyan has highlighted. A meeting that happened with City Council on Monday night, and City Council said, on our agenda, we have a confidential, what was the term that was on the agenda from Monday night?
City Council was
confidential compensation?
Yeah.
Confidential compensation settlement. Juan Diego Wade, the mayor, shows up a couple of minutes before 2 key votes, and he says, we got to vote on this. We got some color from staff, and we were told to vote 5-0 on a confidential compensation settlement. And we're going to vote 5-0, but we're not going to tell you, the public. Mm-hmm. I speculate that that's the city attorney getting a bag of money. I don't know for sure. I'm speculating. Why do I need to speculate? Because they didn't tell me, despite it being our money. Holy bejeebus. Yeah. Number one in the family, kind of funny how the more administrators UVA hires and the more they pay them, the worse the administration, the worse administered the university is. Philip Dow in Scottsville says, time to clean house. Which house?
I mean, it definitely sounds like President Ryan has no intention of doing any house cleaning.
JBT says this should be revealed to all of us. We deserve to know. Amen, sister. Good night. We don't even know if there was another offer on the effing mobile home park. How do we not know if there was another offer?
It's baffling.
You got a piece of property in a vulnerable position in the city? Say your piece of property in the city, ladies and gentlemen, is home to some folks that are underserved, underprivileged, or on the financial margin. Well, here's what you probably should do. Leak to the media that some unknown party is making an offer and is going to displace all the people on there. Say you got a $10 million deal on it, and watch the wheels of governance for once move quickly and give you a Scrooge McDuck bag of money. $2024, ladies and gentlemen. And it's the exact opposite of the transparency and accountability and communication that's offered by this Florida sheriff. You get that lower third on screen. There's a police officer in the Sunshine State that's doxing an 11-year-old for making a violent hoax on social media.
Yep.
When it pertains to their school.
Mm-hmm.
We ask you the question, Ginny Who says this. I'll get to Ginny's comments in a matter of moments. Her photo on screen. She said, I'm fine with the police doxing the kids. Actions have consequences, and it sends a strong message to kids who think hoaxes are funny. Should kids be doxed by police for using social media about gun violence or other threats at schools that are phony? You say yes?
I mean, I don't know how many rights those kids have when they're committing felonies. In fact, that's what part of what the article explains, in that these are felonies. The kids have limited rights.
So you
at
got
that
no
point.
beef with a 9-year-old utilizing TikTok. Okay, let me rephrase my word. A 9-year-old utilizes TikTok. First, why the hell is a 9-year-old on TikTok? My wife sends me the story yesterday. Instagram is going to have teenage accounts now. Thank God. Here's a better thing for Instagram of having teenage accounts. Parents, don't let your kids be on Instagram.
Yeah.
But if a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, an 11-year-old, or a 12-year-old, let's say it's any preteen. Let's just lump it as preteen. If a preteen does a hoax about violence at school, should the preteen be doxxed by local police? As an example, the 2024 version of Scarlet Lettered. Yes or no, Judah? Yes or no, viewers and listeners? Viewers and listeners, I want your take on that question right now. Judah says, tar and feather them.
I did not say that.
Put them on the rail and drag them through West Main Street is what you said.
I did not.
But you
You're
say they
lying.
should be doxxed.
I think that is a punishment that I think more children, more kids, preteens, whatever you want to call them, understand. Bad press. Sadly, I think that's a larger punishment than just about anything else you could do to them.
100%. That's brilliantly said. Brilliantly said.
Under Florida law, juvenile court records are generally exempt from public release, and rightly so, but not if the child is charged with a felony, as in this case.
I could have talked about
law enforcement officials have been tracking a stream of threats in the weeks since the school year began. In Broward County, they have already arrested 9 students, ages 11 to 15, for making threats since August. And
wasn't there just one in Greene County? Didn't I read that in the Daily Progress?
I think so.
In the Greene County, police just popped a kid for utilizing social media to make school threats. Orange County, there was a 6-year-old that brought a gun to school. Yeah, Greene student in custody after making false report about violent threat to police.
Yeah.
John Blair, photo on screen. He says this on LinkedIn. Jerry, the school hoax gun issue feels like COVID to me. There was a belief in early 2020 that the doctors were in charge and that no one else's opinion would matter. Clearly, John Blair says, after a few months, society simply revolted. While laws, including in Virginia, have protected the privacy of juveniles, it certainly feels like this is a scenario in which society's views are changing quickly. Given the proliferation of school shootings and the explosion of hoax threats across the nation this year, I think society is fed up.
Oh, yeah.
Kids know what they are doing. They know that these threats will shut down the school. There's a point where the rights of the collective for kids to go to school and for parents not to be terrified of threats to shoot up a school simply are going to override any perceived individual right of privacy of a juvenile. Just my 2 cents. I say that's one of John Blair's best comments ever.
Yeah, very well said.
Remember last year, Charlottesville High School? How many times the police was sent to Charlottesville High School? And that entire fall semester was compounded and turned into a nightmare by roving students, unattended, unsupervised, running amok in the hallways.
Yeah.
So the fall semester of last year at Charlottesville High School, You had multiple hoaxes where the police was called, where assault rifles, machine guns, I don't know the right terminology, officers in full garb were around the school. Riot gear at the school multiple times. That fights and brawls and violence, sex and drug use, fornicating, and paraphernalia were happening in the fall semester. So much so that the teachers called us sick out before Thanksgiving and said, we ain't going to school. And then the superintendent had to close the school down. It was effing dangerous minds. It caused the principal of the school to quit in the middle of the semester. And then the 2024 version of Morgan Freeman, Lean on Me, Kenny Leatherwood came in as the interim principal with his baseball bat in hand and cracked skulls and got the school back on track. That happened. Jesus. I got no problem with kids being doxxed.
Yep. They need to face some consequences for their actions. Otherwise, stuff like this will continue.
I got no problem with kids being doxxed.
It's a drain. Not only do kids miss out on school time because they've got to go stand outside or shelter in place, but then you've got police budgets taking a hit because they're spending so much time investigating, fake threats.
Vanessa Parkhill, Queen of Earlysville, her photo on screen. The Florida sheriff going old school, like in the Scarlet Letter. Public shaming. If it works, do it. JBT, Janice Boyce Trevelyan, so many of these kids are in such awful situations. My daughter's school bought shoes for a child that had none. His mother took them and wore them. She also says they need so many resources available to them. There needs to be punishment, but I don't know if that's the best one with kids that are fragile in these situations. She says that will follow you forever.
And that's
a fair point.
That's a fair point and part of the ongoing argument.
And this is why I made the big to-do, and I'm going to get shamed here for this correlation. I'm going to get shamed for this correlation, Judah. But this is why I made the big to-do about no gun advertising and branding in schools. Fluvanna County. And I got a lot of pushback on that. And they said, much in Fluvanna, a gun is a tool, and that's how we feed our family. I get that.
It's in an area where kids are probably trained how to shoot a rifle and aim at a deer at a fairly young age.
We got a city councilor and 4 supervisors from different jurisdictions watching, and a couple planning commissioners right now, a local newspaper and a local TV station. I was going to talk on today's program about the 35th anniversary of the CVO Weekly. I was going to talk on today's program about Danielle Collins and Emma Navarro being ranked in the top 10 on the women's tennis tour. I was going to talk on today's program about PVCC, Piedmont Virginia Community College, launching a tech center.
We got all day.
I don't have all day. I was going to talk on today's program about Anthony Calandria. You got to stop turning over the football. Instead, ladies and gentlemen, a second letter is written by the docs at the University of Virginia. An international law firm is hired to investigate the UVA health system. The University of Virginia thinks it's good PR not to release the findings to the public. A Florida sheriff doxes an 11-year-old. I mean, a Greene County kid is in custody for a hoax. A 6-year-old brings a gun to school in an elementary school. And multiple viewers and listeners tell me that this past spring at an alternative school in Charlottesville Public Schools right next to Buford Middle, a kid brought a loaded gun right next to the Boys and Girls Club. A heavy hitter tells me Charlottesville City Schools have an RFP out for a safety audit, and an update is due in October. And damn, I still hear parents say, I don't want my kids walking through metal detectors at schools. Well, you know what? You are living in la la land. What is a metal detector going to do for kids that do things the right way? Seriously. Walk through a metal detector. What is going to beep if you're a good kid? Your troll keychain on your backpack that's connected by a piece of metal? Who didn't have a troll keychain on their backpack? Little troll. They're so cute. I like the ones with the blue hair that I could turn in a circle.
Alrighty then.
You got a weapon? It beeps. You're in trouble. Good. You got beef with that?
I think some parents would argue that treating children like they're already criminals.
Oh, here we go.
I'm just
Here we
providing
go.
the other side.
Please.
You can say, here we go, all you want, but that's pretty much what I think when you go on your rants. Here we go. Jerry's on a rant again.
I want to hear the woke side of the argument from Judah here.
This isn't the woke argument.
Yeah, this is the woke argument. Parents think if you have kids walk through metal detectors, they're going to be put on a path of criminal behavior. If you treat children like criminals, they will become criminals. Is that what you're going to say?
No.
What were you going to say? Please. I can't wait to hear this. I'll sit back and listen. No, please.
It's
please.
not.
I want to hear it.
All I was going to say is that I'm sure some parents don't like the fact, don't agree with the fact that kids should be treated as if they've already committed crimes.
Do you walk through a metal detector to get on an airplane?
We do now.
Do you walk through a metal detector to get inside Scott Stadium to go watch Virginia football and Anthony Calandria commit 3 costly turnovers to screw Virginia in a critical game against the Maryland Terrapins?
Wow, I feel like this is getting personal for you.
Do you walk through a metal detector to get into the John Paul Jones Arena to watch Tony Bennett's boys win a national championship? Do you walk through a metal detector at any Charlottesville athletic event that has more than 250 in attendance? The answer to all those is yes. And guess what? When you went shopping at Old Navy for those cargo camo jorts that you like to wear, you walked through a metal detector.
Don't look at me when you say that.
You walked through a metal detector. When you went into Victoria's Secret,
I don't think that's a metal detector.
To get the bra and underwear set for your special lady, you walked through a metal detector.
I don't believe those are metal detectors, Jerry.
It's a detector, isn't it? What is the difference between an airplane metal detector, a Scott Stadium metal detector, a John Paul Jones Arena metal detector, the metal detectors that are at athletic events at Charlottesville Public Schools, and the detectors you go through, Judah, when you buy the bra and underwear sets for your special ladies at Victoria's Secret? What are the differences?
Am I expected to know what the differences are? The differences with the clothing ones are, I don't believe they're metal detectors.
Okay.
They detect the little tags that they put on the clothes. Just saying.
You want peace of mind? There's peace of mind.
Metal detectors.
School resource officers and peace of mind are metal detectors, and school resource officers are peace of mind. And I'm going to catch heat from a vocal minority about that in the city of Charlottesville, and I'm okay with it. What else is on the talking points at the 121 marker?
Oh, let's see. New technology
Multiple people
center.
saying amen, Jerry.
New Technology Center opening at PVCC. UVA grad opening an activewear and yoga parlor in Dairy Market. We've already mentioned the fact that there's the Jefferson Council president is coming on the show.
President of the Jefferson Council on the program. They listen to the show. What day is that?
That is October 3rd. This is Tom Neal.
What do you make of what Jefferson Council's doing right now? Kelly Jackson, I'm getting to your comments in a matter of moments.
I think it's
Michael
great.
Buchensky, I'm getting your comments in a matter of moments. Coach B, Georgia Gilmer, I'm getting to your comments in a matter of moments.
Thursday, October 3rd.
Jefferson Council.
I think they're doing a great job. I think I think between Seville Tomorrow and the Jefferson Council and several other sources, we've got a resurgence of good reporting in Charlottesville, and I hope to see more and more of it.
Kelly Jackson's photo on screen, key member of the family. Kelly, when are you going to launch a show? When are you going to air your show back on the I Love Seville network? Come on, KJ. We need you, KJ. KJ and her family recently celebrating the sale of their Panera Bread locations. Mm-hmm. The Flynn Group. Was it 13 of them? 11 in the Commonwealth, KJ? I hope you're popping bottles. Popping bottles, KJ. Still popping bottles. She says advertising doesn't make kids buy guns or make threats, in my opinion. She's talking about the Fluvanna story. Judah agrees with you. She says the kids making threats should be publicly named. I would want to know if